Hello, if you can even hear me. We're running out the last few seconds on our ad, our start of stream ad. You're probably not even seeing it, but I'm letting it run out regardless. Talanoa, you're first. Here, I'll wait 5 seconds and then I'll congratulate people. And then I'll congratulate people. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see right now. Hi. Mish. Hello. Welcome. In. Talanoa, you are first. Congratulations. Spear, you're not first. Congratulations. Hi everyone. Welcome back. Sorry about last week. A headache. I had a headache that day, and I tried getting rid of it, and it just persisted. Don't know what it was about, but yeah, that sucked. And then I didn't come back for the rest of the week. Today, two major things. One, I already posted a picture in the Discord of celery root. I've got a pile of celery root. I found it in the clearance bin. It has been getting worse looking since I got it. They're getting kind of, they look creepy to begin with. They're looking extra creepy. There's some little spots forming on a couple of them. So we're going to use all of that today because I don't trust any of it to stick around. Two, we're still on the quest to get rid of stuff from the freezer, so more salmon, a slightly smaller piece this time. We're going to combine these concepts. I was looking at things to do with celery root, and everyone seems to want to make purees out of it, and that was kind of what I was aiming for because I couldn't think of anything else. And then I stumbled upon the idea of, we'll do gnocchi. We love doing gnocchi. I haven't done gnocchi in a while. I've never done gnocchi with celery root, so I don't know if it'll work, but it should work. It's a starchy root, but it'll taste like celery, you know. So, yeah, that's the concept today. I survived the heat wave. We've been having a heat wave. It's still quite warm today, but it's not crushingly hot. We're still not going to do any baking because I don't want the oven on because I don't want to risk throwing all that extra heat into the house. But, yeah, it's pretty comfortable in here right now. And I think we're losing the sun to some clouds at the moment, so it should hold as well. Let me grab the flour tower real quick. I'm going to need that. Keep it handy. And happy sleeps, Mish. I know I'm on late for you. I should do more friendly times. I got it in my head that nobody shows up for the earlier times. And I know that's not true anymore. Flemish. Hello, hello. I know that's not really true anymore. It was at the beginning. I tried early times to see if it would help viewership, and it exclusively hurt my viewership. But now there's a lot more of you all over the place, so I'm sure that more of you like the times. Here's an interesting thing that happened with this piece of salmon. And I noticed it with a couple other ones. This salmon clearly has been fed some artificial dye. Because you can see it leaked out into the sealed package and created this orange blush all through the plastic. And it's pigmented liquid coming out of the salmon. So there you go. We're going to give this a... Remember what we did last time with salmon? We soaked it in some salt water to try to get rid of some of that. Glacier, hello. Welcome. You're not first. Congratulations. Let's get this guy open. We're gonna soak this guy in salt water again. Maybe not even salt water, just water, to dissolve some of this loose protein to hopefully give us nicer, cleaner pieces. I don't think I want to do the whole shebang with bagging it, though, I think I'm just going to pour water into this and leave it in the thing and just prop it up in the sink. But before that, we're going to find out if we've got scales. Now, see, this one's been scaled. Remember that last one? It still had the scales on it. I had to scrape the scales. This one's been scaled, so we're good there. I don't have to descale it, which is good because descaling an already portioned fillet is awful. Your heat wave will happen Friday, hitting triple digits. We didn't quite hit triple digits here. I believe we topped out at 95, but it was quite humid. That's the thing. I never have dry heat here. We never have dry heat. This part of the world is moist. So I think our heat index was 104, which was just terrible. But it doesn't get quite as absolutely hot. So it's sort of a trade-off. Anyways, I don't want a one big slab today. I want pieces. Not quite. For serving purposes, I want these long pieces. Also not quite. Almost making it all the way through the skin in one go, and then not quite. Today we topped out in the 80s. My air conditioner's been fighting with it and winning. Yesterday it was fighting and losing. It started out at one temperature and it ran continually all day, and by the end of the day it was warmer inside the house. The air conditioner just never clicked off and it just kept losing ground to the heat. It was not a good sign. This salmon is still slightly frozen in the middle. That's interesting. There's a little bit of a crunch as I go through the very center of it. It's still icy in there. And it's also not cut evenly because that piece should be our last piece, but it doesn't work. So we're gonna give it a trim. So we also want to soak this now in the water because I want to make sure that it's all thawed before I start adding flavors to it. But yeah, I'm right on the edge of where the heat wave has moved off. There's this line running right through the middle of the state, and I'm on one side in the 80s and the other side is in the 90s. It's a 10 degree difference on this line. But it's supposed to be shifting. And apparently the front has come through. Bookwoman is on the far end of the state from me, so apparently the front has moved through. Yeah, it's quite a difference on either side of it. Still kind of warm over here. Okay. So rather than dirty another bag, I'm just going to plunk these guys in here. And put cold water directly into that to give them a little bit of a bath. As we learned previously about frozen proteins. Now that it's full of water, it doesn't want to sit up straight. Oops, now that it's full of water, I'm pouring water all over the place to try to move it around. Put it good enough. Okay, so that's going to give it a little bit of a bath. Glacier has 50s and rainy, but in the hundreds a couple weeks ago. Gross. Gross. It's almost like something's wrong with the climate. But that couldn't be. But that couldn't be. That'd be silly. We don't need this guy anymore. Well, we're going to need him later, so I won't even wash that. I'll just prop it over here and bring it back out when we want the fish again. I have potential scattered storms, so if something happens to me suddenly, it's because a storm hit and the power went out. Okay, fish is going to soak. We'll come back to that later. Main event today is not the fish, it's these guys. And they are definitely looking a little gnarly. They always look gnarly, but they're looking extra gnarly because they are a little on the old side. They came out of the bargain bin. I got quite the chaotic pile. There is going to be flour in this gnocchi, yes. Also, hi, Jane Henry. Welcome, welcome. So these came out of the bargain bin. We got quite the haul from the bargain bin. It was a bunch of weird stuff, too. A bunch of roots. Like, there were two potatoes, two sweet potatoes, a bag of red onions, like a bunch of storage root stuff. We have a few little spots that I'm going to cut into before we, that one's not looking super good. Before we get into really peeling, we're going to make sure none of these spots go really deep. If there's, that'll be fine. If the spoilage goes deep into them, then we don't want to use it. If it's just on the surface, which these appear to be just on the surface, which is usually how it works for hard roots like this, there'll be a little bit of spotting on the surface, but it won't go down into the thing. But it is worthwhile to check just in case you don't want to get down in there and discover that it's all, do a bunch of work and then cut it in half and discover it's all rotten. That's no good. Oof. Oof. They have definitely dried out a bit. I might actually skip the peeler and go with a knife. Find that piece that just flew. Piece, where are you? I might just go with the knife. Jane is a fellow streamer. Nice. What is your poison, so to speak? What's your topic of interest around these parts? Also, welcome in. Ugh, yeah, I'm doing this with a knife. I let the surface dry out to the point where the peeler just kind of wants to skate over it. Food and drink. Nice. Well, here, everybody, go give Jane a follow. See what they're about. See what's what. I'll drop one. I'll peek in next time you're doing stuff. Sure. There we go. Speaking of doing stuff, how's everybody doing? A little bit of discussion about the heat there. What's up? What's new? What's shaking? What's for dinner? Okay, we're losing quite a bit. We'd lose less if we managed to do the peeler, but it's so dried out. Bookwoman. Oh my god. 32 months. And Jay. Oh my god. Guys, what are you doing? What are you doing? Jay, hello. Jay, what the heck? What's this nonsense? Why would you subscribe to this? Thank you guys so much. You've kicked off a hype train. I guess if any of the rest of you were waiting for a good moment, this is the moment. Hype train time. Entertainment? Entertainment? I don't think that's true. That would mean that I would be providing entertainment right now. And I'm clearly not doing that. We will weigh out our celery root at the end, but gnocchi are more about vibes and eyeballing it anyways, so I'm not super chuffed about how much I end up with. Glacier! Glacier's jumping in too. Education? Well, that would mean that I'm providing anything educational, which I'm clearly not. Boy, celery root sure is an ugly vegetable. I'm educating you about celery root and how it's an ugly vegetable. Oh my god, guys. You've almost tipped us over into the next level of hype train. That hasn't happened since, I think, my very first stream. when the first time I was eligible for subs. And you guys all piled in. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it enormously. I don't have sound effects because I still haven't hooked up those sound effects. Because I still haven't hooked up my earpiece so that I can hear them. It's a cascade of stupid things, stupid reasons. Entirely me being a procrastinator. I saw the thing move. Let me look up and see if it's a good thing. Oh my god! Spear! Spear, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let me read those out. Let me see who you got. Let me see who caught in the crossfire there. Zara is a streamer. You got a bunch of other streamers in there. Zara. Noodle Music, that's an awesome name. Noodle Music, if you're here, awesome name. Empanada, Talanoa, and Ren. I was watching Ren this morning, actually. Well, if any of you are here, go ahead and thank Spear for those gifty subs. And I also will thank Shining Spear. Thank you so much. As always, I absolutely do not deserve it. This is a terrible show. This is just awful content. But I suppose it's your money. You can waste it here if you want to. Don't cut yourself. Don't cut yourself. Bleeding is against terms of service. Oh my God. Look at that drippy heart. Look at that drippy heart. Thank you guys so much. Level 3. Wow, you also skipped right ahead to 3. And noodle music is... Oh my God. Noodle music. Hold on. Raiders. What is happening? Noodle music. Raiders, welcome in. You just got caught in a gift sub bomb by a Shining Spear. And now here you come. Welcome in. How's it going? Let me give you shouties. This is exciting. What were you doing? Tell us all about it. Welcome in, Raiders. You can call me Jovial. You can call me Jovian. You can call me Jojo. You can call me Vivan. I don't know. Hey, we cook. I was on your front page. Amazing. Well, welcome in. We were just having a hype train because people... Oh my God! And you've hit my follower goal. We were just on the edge of that. Thank you guys so much for the follow. Follows are of course anonymous. I was on your front page. Wow. I guess I'm starting to catch on around these parts. Anyways, we're just saying how this is terrible content and really just no reason to subscribe here at all. But hi, welcome. What were you doing? Were you also cooking? Noodle music sounds like a either music channel or cooking channel, or possibly a little bit of both. Commodity. Jones! Isosceles. Congratulations, you are not first. You were actually gaming. What were you playing? Oftentimes we end up raiding out into gaming channels in part because a bunch of my favorite places to go are gaming channels, even though I don't really do that myself. I love the watching. Peak. I've never heard of Peak. Tell us all about it. I know that there's been a bunch of demos going around lately. But welcome Raiders. Thank you so much for bringing your community here, taking a chance on me and mine. We are starting out here by peeling some really gnarly looking celery roots. That I got out of the discount bin. And we're using all of them today because I don't trust any of them to keep. Isosceles is stocked up on sriracha. Oh yeah, if you missed last time, we had a sriracha taste test. It should probably still be just up on the thing. 30-something bottles of sriracha. We didn't quite make it to 40. That was madness. That was madness. I would love to do more of that, but I need something that has maybe a few less varieties. Let's see, what did we get from the Choo Choo? What did we get from the Choo Choo? I got the same one, little anime brain girl. And Sepsi, Miss Sepsi, you snuck in between all those things. Welcome. What do we got? We got Santoast, Snot 9000. Miss Sepsi snuck in with 200 bits. I don't have a sound effect for 200 bits or anything. So let me know what sound effect you want me to make with my mouth hole. And I'll do it. and I'll do it for you right now. Thank you guys so much. This is exciting. Is this because I took a week off? Choo choo. I can do a choo choo. Can I do a choo choo? Choo choo! I don't know how well that came across the microphone because I put my hands over my mouth. I started going through the process of setting up actual alerts using the Twitch alerts. And then I didn't finalize them. So, because I realized I wanted a sound effect that I would have to... Oh, God. I have ideas for them, but now I need to scrub through a movie to clip out a chunk of audio that I want to use for a sound effect because I can't find that piece of audio clean. Fortunately, I have a digital copy of the movie already, so I can scrub through it, but I need to scrub through it. Oop. Anyways, this is the tedious part. You've come in just in time for the tedious part of today, which is trimming down the celery root. Also, this is what the root of celeries look like, and you can eat them. For those not in the know. Cool. They're all trimmed up. We're gonna do the thing with them now. Choo choo, it's choo choo, it's a food show. Normally we don't have puns around here. I might have to ban you for that. Okay. Pot of water, because these are going to go right in a pot of water. Oh. Because they need to be boiled. So, pot, water. And the rule for vegetables, when you're boiling vegetables, is if it grows below ground, you put it in cold water and bring it up with the water. Bring it up to a boil with the vegetable already in there. And if it grows above ground, did I say water? Ground. Then you boil the water and throw it in. That's the general rule. I have no idea if that is just like old wives' tale. But we're going to stick to it. We're going to take our celery root, we're going to throw it in our cold water. It is floating. Celery root is, you can't really tell by looking at it. It's a lot less dense, a lot lighter than like a potato would be. Rhea, hi, welcome in. How's it going? We've had an exciting day already. A raid, a sub bomb, a hype train, and all I've done is, ooh, this one was getting real dried out on the inside. Yeah. Definitely got to use these guys. What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. I've been so distracted. But we're using all of this today because previously mentioned reasons, don't trust it. If I have extra gnocchi, I will freeze it because you can freeze gnocchi quite well. That's my pro tip of the day. You can make big batches of gnocchi in advance and freeze it, and you can boil it directly from frozen. I'm surprised at how much these are floating. I don't think I expected them to all float. And celery root is also lower in carbs than a potato. So I know it's a choice people go for when they want a starch that isn't quite so starchy. I think we're going to end up using the big bowl for this. Of course, when you add flour to it to make gnocchi, you're kind of defeating that purpose. But if you were making like celery root puree, which is essentially celery root mash, but soupier, it would be substantially less than mashed potato, for example. But I was asking how things are going, and then all that happened. All that nonsense just happened. So I don't even know if anybody responded. How much did I pay for these bad boys? Less than $1 this time because they were in a bag with 2 white onions, a red onion, and some potatoes. So I got a mixed bag of roots for $1. And I only had to throw out 1 onion. But onions are they're roots. They're storage foods. I don't know why they were. I mean, I suppose the celery root made sense because it's clearly going off a little bit. But other than that, onions, potatoes, those keep. And none of the ones in there were visibly going off. I don't know. Glacier got the choo-choo, the same one as the rest of us. Is celery root similar to turnip? It's much less dense. It's almost... God, it feels like it's styrofoamy almost. It's way less dense. There's some kind of airiness to it, even though it's solid, than the other roots. It's obviously much more annoying to peel because it's got that weird gnarly outside, which if they were fresher, you could peel with just a peeler. I've done that before. One of these will work. But in this case, the outside was so dried out that thing couldn't really get purchase. So we went in with the knife. And also just to ensure that I was getting rid of the gnarly bits. Taste-wise, they taste kind of like celery. Like a milder celery. Okay, well, that pot's really, really full. So let's get to boiling. tidy up the work surface here a little bit while we do that. So what would I compare? The texture is not dissimilar to breadfruit. We've used breadfruit before. It's got that same kind of, it's lighter than it looks like it's going to be. Taste-wise, I guess it's a little bit turnipy. Celery is related to carrot and parsnip, and parsley, if I remember correctly. So it does have some of that kind of character that those have. You just don't get that nice taproot. But unlike, say, parsnip, it doesn't have that woody center either. You just have to get the outside off, and then you can chop the thing up. I hate getting that woody core out of parsnips. I like the taste of parsnips well enough, but they're so fiddly to get to trim that, because you have to peel them, and then you also have to core them. I hate that. I hate that. We need to undertake a breeding program to make parsnips that don't have the woody core. I don't know how long to boil these for. I don't have a reference recipe pulled up. I'm flying blind. Also, we ended up with more than I thought. I thought I was going to have to throw out some of it. So we ended up with quite a lot more than I initially thought. Let's see. Butter, salmon. We've got to decide what I'm going to season the salmon with. We're going to have butter, flour. We've got a little knob, the knob end of a Parmesan here, and I've already got the new wedge, so we're just gonna use up that, and that's going to be our cheese element in a Mornay. I want to build a more traditional Mornay. I frequently have called the cheese sauce for mac and cheese a Mornay, which it kind of is, but it isn't really specifically. Because a Mornay, a real Mornay, is built on top of a bechamel, and a bechamel traditionally is seasoned with nutmeg. And then the cheeses used are often a hard, sharp cheese like Parmesan and a melty cheese like Gruyere, but in small quantities. You don't just dump in a ton of cheese like you do when you're making mac and cheese. It is a cheese flavored sauce as opposed to a cheese sauce. Yes, you can freeze excess gnocchi, and I did mention that when I said how much was thing. Yes, make a big batch of gnocchi in advance. Precisely. Gnocchi can be made in quantity in advance and frozen, and then you can boil it directly from frozen. Making it very, very convenient. I'm going to put the lid on this to see if I can't help it heat up a little bit faster. I gotta think, what can I do while I'm waiting for that? Because the next step, it's got to be mashed and it's got to be cooled enough that I can handle it, so that I can add the flour to it and shape it. Egg. The only eggs I've got left right now are duck eggs. So I guess we're putting a duck egg in this. Didn't think of that. Good thing I have an egg. You don't have to put egg in gnocchi, but it helps bind them. Good thing I thought of that. I've got herbs outside. I've got... And then in the sauce, we don't want to start building the sauce right away because I'm going to want to toast the gnocchis and then toss them in the sauce. And a Mornay does not stay good very long. It likes to skin up a little bit. So we don't want to make that too far in advance. Also, I wanted to try experimenting with brown butter for my sauce. I don't know if brown butter affects the construction of the roux, but I think it would give us some fun flavor. What do you think? Here, while that's trying to boil, and while we're thinking and chatting, Talanoa also has the brain, mind, anime. By Plush. We're going to cut this up because it's, I say cut, we're going to shred this up because it's a hard cheese. This is my sharpest grater. I've cut myself on this one multiple times. These guys are actually razor sharp. Unlike the small one that I run my hand over without even thinking about it. Move slow on this one so I don't slip. I'm trying to find the best angle to do this so I have the most control. For grating a big block of a hard cheese, though, you want a razor sharp grater. A dull grater will fight back against the hard cheese. What we don't want to do is slip, because that's how you get your finger caught in it. And then we got blood in our cheese, and we don't want blood in our cheese today. We're not cooking with blood this time. Although I have found a source of blood, so we can cook with blood in the future. Come on, get in there. There we go. I don't know what I want to make with blood. I just know that I have a source of blood, and I've talked about that in the past, of cooking with blood. Sorry, probably some people don't want to talk about blood. Should And that's about as far as that's going to go until I cut my hand. So I'm just going to eat the last little nubbin. Okay. And I think that's all the cheese I want. For one thing, I don't want to add any orange color to my cheese sauce. So the other cheese I've got is Colby. The other cheese I've got on hand right now is Colby, which would make it predominantly orange. But also, I think that's about as much cheese as we want. We're going to trust the bechamel to pull it into a nice creamy sauce, as opposed to relying on another melty cheese. Let's find out if this is boiling. No, it's not. Boil for me, boil. What else do I prep? I don't know how much flour I'm going to need because that's, you eyeball that with the flour because you're looking for a consistency. You eyeball it with the amount of root you've got. I guess I can get the egg ready because I want the egg to be nice and smooth. Duck eggs, of course, are gigantic. So 1 duck egg. They're such big eggs. These are such big eggs. Why are they so big? Why does a duck need such a big egg? They also have really tough membranes. I usually get little shell pieces in there just because there we go. No shell pieces. All I had to do was say about how bad I am at cracking them, and it cracks perfectly. If I bragged about how good I am at cracking them, it would have smashed into a million tiny pieces. And my favorite way to whip up an egg, a pair of chopsticks. First of all, break the yolk. Now, to be real Frenchy about this, I would strain it. But I don't care enough, so... If you want to make a real French omelet, crack 3 eggs like this. 2 or 3. Whip them up as hard as you can without, like, whipping them. And then run them through a fine mesh strainer. Make sure that there's no bits, because you want them to be ridiculously smooth. It's fussy. It's fussy, but boy, do you get a good result at the end. It's not quite boiling yet. Egg, cheese, flour, roots. The butter's already at room temperature. I'm going to need a little bit of nutmeg. I'm going to need a little bit of shallot. I'm going to need a little bit of garlic. From the garlic house. Garlic, shallot, nutmeg. I think a little bit of mustard powder. Ooh, I think a little bit of mustard powder would be quite good. Would be quite good here. Where's my mustard? Mustard. And if I'm grinding mustard, then I have an opportunity to grind other things. Tiny bit of salt to help us with an abrasive. Any other flavors we want? Fresh herbs will go in at the end. I've got parsley, potentially basil. We're not doing shiso. Shiso's coming up pretty well. So we can start using shiso in things soonish. The salmon probably doesn't need to be in the bath any longer. We can switch it to a marinade. So that'll probably be the next thing we should do. Oops. We're having a boil. We've had a modest boil over. Which is good. It means it's boiling. So what we were waiting for. What we were killing time for was that to boil. It's very over full. Okay. Watch that boil in the back while we grind our mustard here. You recently made gnocchi and haven't cursed that much in years. Did something go terribly wrong? Okay, now that these guys are at a boil, we're going to they're pretty small cubes, so we're going to let them go for a few minutes. What went wrong? Oh, and I see up there, you said you're still in shock for the sriracha. How many do we still have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. We're at 31 because I threw away 3 of them. Roll the dough in cling wrap. That doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't sound... Well, I'll show you how I do it. Well, okay. I don't know that it's going to work necessarily with celery root. This is partially an experiment. We are partially in experiment mode here with the celery root. I roll mine out just on the worktop with some flour. Because if it's sticky enough that I would want to cover it in something to prevent it from sticking to everything, then I would say it's too sticky. I don't think it needs to be that sticky. It should just be a little bit sticky. You don't want it to be like gluey. I hope at least they tasted good. Or did you just give up on them? Speaking of other people's food, what are you having for dinner? What's everyone else having for dinner? Especially, yeah, if Jane Henry's still here. Another chef. Chefing it up. I'd love to hear about your adventures in the kitchen. Or, you know, your delicious leftover, or whatever everyone's having. I'm only going to go for 1 clove of garlic. I know, blasphemy. Blasphemy. How could you stop at 1? But it's happening. That's what we're doing today. Or we are going to need the big bowl. We are going to need the big bowl today, though. Woke Woman's having crab cakes and coleslaw. Sounds good, sounds good. Picture in Discord. I will check that out. That. Or did you already post it and I saw it and it's slipping my mind? That also happens sometimes. We're going to use this guy's big brother today as well. Hopefully. We're gonna test this guy's big brother on the celery root to see if it is in fact a mashable root. Some roots are not mashable and have to be machine blended. Use the back of your knife, scrape down the garlic press. Never use the blade end. It will damage the blade severely. Also, never forget, crush your garlic before you need it. Crush or mince or grate or whatever you're going to do to it. Do it before you need it by at least a couple of minutes. But never the day ahead. To let it develop those flavors. Splashed a little bit of boiling water on my foot. Not a huge fan of that. Did not swear into the camera. And that. So. Mustard, garlic, shallot. That's the one we need. Your food. Oh, yes. The gnocchi alla romana. I did look at that. That is a different kind of gnocchi. For some reason, Rome has made its own gnocchi that is very different. I remember that picture. Yes, exactly. That's one that I want to try at some point. Gnocchi alla romana. Roman style gnocchi. The one we're making today is not that. Ugh, I'm just going to sacrifice a layer for my own sanity. Sometimes you sacrifice a layer of your onion just so that you don't have to peel the paper. Just to keep yourself slightly sane. So, okay, I don't know necessarily the procedure for gnocchi alla romana. I know that they are different. I also know that there is a older type of gnocchi, a more traditional gnocchi, that is flour and cheese instead of flour and potato. And that predates European contact with the Americas because they obviously didn't have potatoes, but they were making a very similar thing that they called gnocchi, but it was made out of ricotta, which I've also been interested in.